think I worked out how you can do. I've worked out how to do these. That's probably because I. Hello, good evening and welcome. This is the new series of the V8 Championship from Flat Out E-Racing. This is Season 4. We've had 3 cracking series with these V8s before, and we've got another great championship lined up for you over the next few weeks on a Sunday night. This is going to be an 8-round championship. Tonight we're at the A1 ring in Austria, and then we're going to move to Spa, and then Blue Moon Bay infield circuit, and then to Suzuka, Dragon Trail, Interlagos in Brazil, and then Sardinia A, and finally our last round will be at Fuji. And for those of you that have been following the V8 series, you know previously we've had 2 races. We've had a normal race and then a reverse grid. We have gone for a different format this season. It is going to be a single race. It's going to be 40 minutes, and they are going to have fuel depletion on and tyre wear at 5 times normal. Now, this is going to bring a big factor in of pit stops, both for tyre wear and for fuel. So this should really liven things up. So it's going to mix things up with a real chunk of strategy. So we're really looking forward to that. So no further ado, let's just have a quick look at what we have got going on in the qualifying, because we've got 10 minutes to get our grid sorted out. It's a fastest first grid. We've got a mix of drivers here, and I'm going to run through them quickly as they are putting in their qualifying laps, because we've got a mix of some well-established names, some recent guys that have joined us in the flat out e-racing, and also some new names to you. So we're on at the moment with the Pineapple Head. He's a guy that's been racing with. He's racing in the GT4 series that we've got running on a Wednesday night as well. Was a pretty competitive driver in that this week, so we are expecting big things of Pineapple Head tonight. So we are following him around at the moment just as he's coming to complete the lap. We'll take you on a quick talk around the lap in a minute. Next up is Dan, who is a very quick driver. Again, he was out in our GT4 series, which finished last Wednesday. Now, he was doing some cracking manoeuvres because he really plays the long game, does our Dan. He's a guy that doesn't get his elbows out at the first corner. In the reverse grid, he was at the back and just gradually worked his way through. He really did. He's the thinking man's racer, so it'll be interesting to see how he decides to play this one tonight. Currently in third, we have Select from Poland, a driver that's been in quite a lot of the championships with Flat Out and has also proved himself pretty competitive. I don't think has actually outright won a championship, but he's certainly one of those guys that you would expect to see around there for a podium. And then we'll move down into fourth, where we've got a brand new driver. He has literally just joined the series in the last day or two. That's Giorgio. I'm going to call him Armani because I really can't get those consonants in an order where I can pronounce them properly. So we'll stick with Armani because that will roll off my tongue. So I've got no idea on this guy where his competitiveness is going to be. But he is certainly somebody that could spring a surprise, so we'll be looking forward to see him. And then currently in sixth, we have Noddy's Mate. Now, he's a driver that's competed in many of the series we've had, the V8s, the GT4s in either Evos or in the Renault Megans, which is the GT4 series we have recently finished on a Wednesday night. I noticed it'd be interesting to see that he's actually carrying a Durex livery on his car there, so I'm sure that's helping keeping him safe. And for one of my wobbling old F1 stories, John Surtees, who's a driver that I'm sure many of you have heard of, who was also a motorcycle Grand Prix driver, started his own Formula 1 team in the 70s and picked up big sponsorship with Durex, and promptly the BBC removed Grand Prix racing from the television because they did not want products such as Durex appearing on the BBC. So that sponsorship itself has quite a history. So let's see who else we've got going on. We'll just pop back up towards the front. We've got Lockstek, again a driver from Poland, which we know is very competitive. He's very quick. So I will be expecting to see him punching his way very much up towards the front of the field. And another one is Season4, again from Poland. These Polish guys are extremely quick, and he at the moment is 4/100ths quicker than anybody else. So, and I know Dan was putting in some cracking laps around here in the GT4s where we were racing on Wednesday. So I think we will expect big things of Season4. So let's just who have we not given a mention to? We've got just 3.5 minutes of qualifying remaining, so we'll just keep an eye on the time, see who's going to shuffle up. Timorous is one of our Greek drivers. We've had quite a number of Greek drivers in the past. Oh, and he's just lost it there, but just catches it before he runs too far across on the grass and hits the wall. And now he's been pretty competitive in the past, and I'm interested to see how he shapes up against the Polish drivers we've got, because I know within there with Season4 and Select and Lockstack there are some very competitive drivers there, so we'll be interested to see how that shakes out. And you can see 13 drivers on the grid tonight. We've just got 2 slots left, so it's really filling up this series, so hopefully we're going to see some real cracking racing all the way down the field. So just to hop on with another driver who's relatively new. He's done a couple of rounds, I think, at the end of the V8 Championship, and he is A. Slippert. And again, I think he was pretty competitive. I'm not quite sure he was in the podium positions, but he's very much in the field, so he's somebody to keep an eye on. And another driver that we know well here, Scott Fenton. We've seen him before, so he's out joining this V8 series. I think he's been attracted by the number of entries. Yeah, number of entries that we've had. So he's just using the slipstream there from Slipper to see whether or not that will get him a quicker lap. He's currently in 10th, 1.4 off pole. Let's just see if this makes any difference. Slipstreaming's quite important around here due to the long straights. So he's tucked under the rear wing of Slipper there, and does that do him any good? No, it doesn't appear to. So let's have a look. So Cajun 100, another long-term driver with Flat Out E-Racing. Just popping through there in 11th at the moment, about 2.5 seconds off pole. So it looks like maybe just taking a little bit of time to get himself acquainted with these BMW M6s. Sorry, M3s, I do apologise. They are all driving this basically the same car tonight, so balance of power is on, or BOP as we refer to it. So they've got no advantage in respect of the machinery. It's all down to the driver and how they set it up. So just quickly running by the last 2 drivers, we've got Blue Jones, who has been with us for a few races. Oh, just running a bit wide there at turn 4, but he's been fairly sort of down, sort of middle to latter part of the field, but it certainly is picking up speed and getting more competitive. And finally is Corky, another long-term racer with us, who I think at the moment is possibly not quite on track. So let's just say we've got just 30 seconds of this qualifying remaining, so we're all working to see who can get onto pole position. So we'll just have a look to see who is on the movers and shakers at the moment. Scott Fenton's just put a new time in, but he's he's up into 4th. So, and Pineapple has popped into 3rd, so that's not Select down to 5th, and Lockstack down to 6th. So I think it's extremely tight up the front there at the moment. Season4, the time is out. They've got 3 minutes to complete the lap. So Season4 coming up, he's already 0.35 of a second up, and he doesn't go any quicker. So who's coming through next? Lockstack's done a quicker lap, but that's only got him up to 5th. So who we got? Select is fairly well back round the lap. Who else have we got out? I think Scott Fenton is probably complete. No, he's still on the lap with A Spurt down in 7th there. You see how tight this is up the front. Oh, Corky unfortunately appears to have retired, so we're down to 12 races. But that's still a cracking number, and there's only a maximum of 15 guys that can join this. So if you want to get involved, get onto Facebook, look up Flat Out E-Racing, and you can join in the fun. So let's just shake forward, see who else is getting a time in. Timorous looks a little bit out of position. He's completed now. He's 1.8 off the oh, and look at that. Dan has just put in a stunning time. He's gone into the 127s. So that he's just snatched pole position. Season4, we thought Season4 was 0.348 faster than anybody else. We thought he got it in the bag. But Dan, I did say he was the thinking man's driver. He's just put in a cracking time and dropped into the 127. So that will be making some of these other guys wonder what they have to do. So, and that was particularly on the worn tyre. So I think we may well have a situation where everybody, I think, has finished. Blue Jones has just come across the line. He's still in 12th. Noddy's mate in 10th. Let's press the right button. Noddy's mate coming around the last corner. Got quite a lot of wear on those front tyres. Let's see whether he can do anything. Oh, no, unfortunately, he was only 0.84 behind Giorgio Armani. So there we go. There's your grid. Unfortunately, Corky at the bottom has retired. So we are down to 12 races. So we've got a 40-minute race. We're estimating that it's going to be something around about 26, 27 laps. And we can imagine we more than likely are going to have multiple pit stops. Well, just to remind you, it's 5 times tyre wear, 5 times fuel usage. So their fuel is going to go down rapidly as the race goes on. So we're just waiting for the green light. They're on the grid. Any second now, we're off. Oh, it looked like Pineapple Head really made a mess of his start there. He's dropped down to 7th, 8th, possibly 9th there. So up the first corner, Dan holds on to the lead. Season4 in second. Scott Fenton looking to go around the outside across the sleep policeman. That's no way round there. Now Locksteck is looking quite racy behind Scott Fenton there. And Dan has already picked a penalty up at the first corner. That's probably for running wide on track limits there. So he needs to slow down to lose that penalty, which he has done fairly well so far. It's getting a little bumpy and bory around there, but everyone's pointing the same way. Looking further down, any particular droppers? I don't think I see anyone at the moment. So, as we heard, up to turn 4, Season4 down the inside at turn 4. Dan's trying to ride round the wall of death, but Season4's got it. Dan's out on the dirty stuff. So, Dan's dropped to second. Scott Fenton still in third. Locksteck in fourth. So, here we go, round turn 5, into turn 6, which leads straight away into the next left-hander at turn 7. Careful on track limits here, too far onto the green stuff and you'll get a penalty. And there we go, round turn 8, and looking in the background there, possibly somebody might have picked the penalty up. I think that might have been Locksteck running wide. Yes, there we go, picked the penalty up as he went wide at turn 8. So round 9 and 10, and that completes the lap around about 1 minute 30 seconds. So these three at the front look really, really tight with each other. So I'll tell you what, we're going to hop on board, see what we've got going on. I think Locksteck might be looking at the inside at turn 1 on Dan. Decides better of it. Dan runs a little bit wide across that sleeping policeman. Locksteck looks like he's trying to take the slipstream off Dan up to turn 3. Really hard on the brakes, the slowest corner on the track. Locksteck looking to the inside. Can he get it done? No. Dan hangs on to it, and all the time here Season4 is trying to make a bit of an escape. So look at that, the slipper is up into 4th. So Scott Fenton must have had an instant there, because he's down into 7th. So that must have happened off camera there, so he's dropped away. So Select is there. Scott Fenton's back up to 5th. So I'll tell you what, we'll hop on with Scott. So things seem to be happening there. We may even risk the replay shortly if things continue the same way. And so that's Scott back up into 5th. So obviously either he made a mistake or had some form of penalty. So there, he's working his way through the grid. Select down there in 6th. Cajun 100 in 7th. We'll just hop on board with him. So he's coming under the attentions of the Pineapple Head in 8th as they whiz round turn 9. Again, you've got to be careful on track limits there, which, looking at Giorgio in the background, hasn't. And I think he may pick up a penalty for that, and I think he's definitely going to pick a penalty up for that one, for running wide there. Yeah, there we go. Giorgio's got a 1 second penalty for those track limit infringements, which he's now dropped off. Now, as a driver that I consider is a little bit out of position there is Timorous. He's in 10th. Now, in some of our previous series, Timorous was one of the drivers really up the front. So this just shows how the level of racer in this series is jumping up and just moving forward. Cajun 100 up the inside at Pineapple Head by the look of it at turn 3. They're coming out side by side, no. Pineapple Head tucking in behind as they head down towards turn 4. And Pineapple Head's dived down the inside, but can he get it stopped? He's going deep. No, he can't get it stopped. He's right. He's on the gravel. He's got dirt all over his tyres, and Cajun has made fast his exit. So we'll just hop a little bit further down the field. We've got Noddy's mate. Oh, it looks like Timorous may have spun there, just off camera to us. But he slipped down now to 12th, so it's really not going his way at the moment. And there in the Durex sponsored orange car is Noddy's mate, sorry, who is on the tail of Blue Jones, who I'm sure will be quite chuffed to be up there in 10th at the moment, because he's had a few challenging races, so I think if he can hang on to that 10th position, he'll be really chuffed. And like I say, I'm really surprised, sorry I'm jumping around cameras here, down in 12th, right at the back of the field, is Timorous, and normally you expect to see him at the other end of the field, so that's quite incredible. So what we're going to do, we're going to head back up to the front of the field, on with our leader, or Season4, who is just coming up to 5 minutes into the race. Oh, we got a little bit of action back there. Slipper looking racy up the inside of Dan. Dan's having enough of that. Looks a bit crash bang wallop into the corner there, but they are all still facing the same direction. It looks like Slipper is not giving up on that one as they head downhill towards turn 4. Another heavy braking section. Is Slipper going to have another go? No. And waiting in the wings, a guy who we know is really quick, is Scott Fenton. So I think this battle is probably one to hang on with. But what I want to have a quick look at is what the fuel usage is with these guys. So we are looking at about, they've used about a third of a tank in just over 5 minutes. So they're going to have at least one fuel stop. Now some of the guys may go for a 2-stop and have stickier tyres during those sessions, because the racing super softs they're on haven't shown a lot of wear, so by the looks of it these guys should be able to get away with this with a 1-stop, but we'll keep an eye on those figures to see how it all works out. So Dan seems to have got himself a little bit of a breathing space now with Slipper, but the one that does seem to be looking a bit racy is Scott Fenton. Now we know he's a quick guy, and he was up the field earlier, so I'd imagine he's going to be very keen to get by Slipper. So here we go, we're going around what's classed as turn 2, but really is only a slight tweak of the steering wheel. And here we go, on the brakes, diving up the inside, but he's gone really deep there. Scott into the tarmac runoff area, and Slipper is by and away up the track. So that really didn't work for him. He was last of the late breakers, but he was a little bit too brave there. So let's just have a quick look down the field, see what action we've got coming up. Oh, we've got somebody in the pits there. I hadn't noticed that. We'll just have a quick look, see if we can work out who that is. Okay. No, as Blue Jones Senior has gone, he's gone for the soft tyres, and he's filled right up on the fuel. So let's see where he's. Let's have a quick look on his dashboard. There we go. Just having a little technical error here at Flat Out headquarters. So it looks like Blue Jones has changed tyres, but he hasn't taken any fuel on. So whether those tyres he was on, he feels weren't working for him, but he was running there in 10th, or whether he picked up some other problem and decided to pit. But he's going to have to pit again in. Oh, he's a bit slidey there. That was, you nearly ran out of adhesion there. So right, let's just work our way back up to the front of the field and see what we got going on. So Season4 is still in the lead. We'll have a quick look behind, because it looks like Dan is now onto Lockstep. He is really onto Lockstep. Look at this. As we head for this downhill braking zone, Lockstep's going defensive. Dan's looking to ride the wall of death around the outside. Can he get the undercut as he exits? No. Heading for this slight curve round turn 5. And no, he can't get anything done there. So his next opportunity probably is the end of the start-finish straight. So let's just ride on board with Dan, because we'll get a great view of this circuit and of Lockstep in front of him. So this is turn 8. We come back over the crest, and then with these 2 downhill corners, as the track falls away from you, you're dabbing the brakes, down a gear or 2 for the first one, same again, dab a brakes, gear. So Dan's trying to get a cracking exit here, get the slipstream, get tucked right under that Jägermeister car in front of him. Lockstep's again going defensive, which is what I would expect him to do. The brake using that curve to get a good turn in. Now slightly longer straight now, so this is where Dan will be hoping that he can get this little bit closer. Here we go. He's riding right up on it. Lockstep going really, really defensive, but that compromises his entry to the corner. Lockstep runs deep on the brakes, and Dan's got the move done. As he looks back, there we go. Lockstep's on the grass all over the place, trying to get it back on the track. So that defensive move really didn't work for him there, and Dan's through to second place. And as I mentioned during qualifying, Dan is the thinking man's driver. So he's maybe just taking his time and working his way forward. So we're just coming up to 30 minutes remaining, which means we've had 10 minutes of the race gone. We can look at this is quarter distance. We will just hop on with Dan's dashboard, see where he's going on fuel and tyres. So okay, we're just having a quick look at our technical data back here, and we reckon with quick estimates we are looking at a 2-stop race here. So with the tyres where it's not really going to be the limiting factor, it looks like the limiting factor here is going to be fuel, because after 10 minutes we've used 3/4 of a tank, so it looks like we're only going to get around about 15 minutes, if that, from a tank, and it looks like it could be tight for some of these drivers getting to the end if their fuel usage tends to be a bit high. So we could have a bit of an interesting development there as the race goes on. So let's have a look at timing as we work our way quickly down the field. So Season4 is 3 seconds up the road at the moment from Dan, who's in a fairly solid second position. Lockstep in third, who he lost all that time trying to defend that position, that second position from Dan, but ran wide and then was all over the grass, and is now starting to fall back in the clutches again of Slippert, who has been, you know, he's had his claws into that final podium position through most of the race. So I wouldn't at the moment be tempted to bet against him. So I think he's certainly showing some pace. Another one who has got an eye on a podium, I would say, is Scott Fenton. He's currently running there in 5th. Was slightly higher up earlier, but then had a little bit of an issue somewhere and dropped back down the field to about 7th, I think, but worked his way back up to 5th. Oh, and we've got a pitter. It looks, yeah, Slippert's into the pits. Let's just have a quick. Oh, we've missed the chance onto his dashboard. So he only has 15 litres left. So maybe he's been slightly. Oh, and we're all tumbling into the pits now. Pineapple Head is going in as well, and also is Cajun 100. Now he was a little bit further down the field, but his fuel usage looks quite high because he was down to 8 litres. So we're gonna have a look to see where those guys are going to drop back out, because Slippert was in 4th, just behind Lockstep. So it'll be interesting to see where he drops out into the field at the moment. So he's not in the top 10, so let's just see if we can find him a little bit further down. Oh, he's still filling up with the fuel. So this is an interesting change we've had with GT Sport, is the fact that these pit stops are now very much more real time, whereas in the past you were able to shoot in the pits, change all 4 tyres and refuel and only lose a few seconds. It's now much more realistic, and in that case Slippert has come out in 9th. Now he's 44 seconds off the leader, whereas Dan, who he was just before, is only 3 seconds off the leader. So he's lost something around about 40 seconds. Oh, and Dan's into the pits from 2nd place as well, and Season4, the leaders, in the pits as well. So I think the one we're going to hop on board with, who I believe is still in 9th, is Slippert, because we need to see how this pit strategy is going to start to work out, because pitting at 13 minutes is going to make it awfully tight, because 3:13s are 39, so he's going to need just a little bit more fuel to get himself over the line. So some of these guys that are really pushing it on their fuel usage may need to be a little bit more conservative. So Timorous now takes the lead, but I don't think he's pitted yet. But he's a driver that I know is very conservative on fuel. He does very much a lift and coast effect. So here we come. Season4 is out of the pit. Dan is coming out of the pits, but by my reckoning there, oh no, Dan is up the field. That was a different orange car. I thought I was seeing Dan coming out of the pits. So it's very much shaken back out into a very similar vein of where the cars were before. So on the net third, Slipper is actually third because Timorous is out of position. So I'm trying to recall who, because Dan was in second. Loxtec is the one that's lost out there in the pit stops, because he's dropped to fifth and he was third. So Slipper has jumped him in the pit stops. So whether that's because he's short field, and we can have a quick look at that one. Yes, it looks like he has short field. So, because he's only done about 3/4 of a lap, so wouldn't have used that much fuel in 3/4 of a lap. So, he may or may not have short field. We haven't got the data from the pit stop, so we're having a bit of an estimate there. But there is definitely a little bit of a long strategy there between Slipper in fourth and in fifth place. Oops, sorry, jumping around cameras there, I do apologise. And in fifth place, Loxtec. So Loxtec definitely lost out in the pits there. Now, an interesting thing to look at is someone has just picked up that maybe Timorous, who is currently leading, but is about to be caught by Season4, who is our default leader, may possibly be trying to go for a one-stop. And it looks like he quite possibly is. Now, this driver I mentioned earlier, we've seen him in previous series. He is extremely quick, but he's also very frugal on his fuel. So it's almost like the faster than the frugal. Now, he's obviously got track position at the moment on Season4, but if you look at his fuel data there at the bottom, he's only used 3/4 of the tank, and we're nearly almost at half race distance. So Season4 is just about to get the move done here, I think, as they come over the crest towards turn 9. Yeah, Season4's got the inside, so Timorous has to let him go, but this position may come back to Timorous later in the race once he's only done his single pit stop, because his tyre wear is not massive. He's using the racing soft tyres, so he's going to get better mileage out of those than the guys using the racing super softs. So I think we've got a definite battle coming back to us there. So that's going to be a great one to watch as the race goes on. So next up to catch Timorous is Dan, who is around about 6 seconds behind. So Timorous is going to go for the pits in the next lap or two, and that will be, I believe, his only pit stop. So this could be, I reckon this could be a podium for Timorous, depending on his pace in the second half of the race once he's changed tyres. I think it's going to be quite interesting, that one. And he's definitely playing these fuel usage rules to his advantage. Now, another one that's lost out during the pit stops, I noticed looking down the list there, is Scott Fenton, because he was up there in, I think, fifth, which with Timorous working his way to the front. Bear in mind, Timorous was at the back earlier on, but Scott Fenton, we'll just hop on board with him. He was up hovering around the sort of 4th, 5th position, and he's dropped back to 8th. So I don't quite know what happened for the pit strategy for him there, but that really didn't work out. So he's currently pursuing Pineapple Head. We'll skip back to the drivers down towards the bottom end of the field. Giorgio Armani, he's down in 9th. First race out with Flat Out E-Racing, but a very respectable performance there. We didn't know what to expect from him, and he very much didn't know what to expect from us, but he seems to be out there and enjoying himself, and up there in 9th. I'm sure he will be quite chuffed with that for a first run out. But just 2.5 seconds behind him is Cajun 100, one of our stalwarts of the Flat Out E-Racing Championships. He's, I believe, done his first pit stop. He did seem to have he has done his first pit stop, I correct myself. He had quite high fuel usage, So he will definitely be coming in for a second stop, and those second stops I think will be happening with around about 14 minutes to go. So we expect to see that happening in around about 7 minutes. The next driver up is Noddy's mate. He's there in 11th at the moment and not too far behind Cajun 100. So this battle down for the lower positions I can see running all the way to the end, because these guys, and include Blue Jones, who's a little bit further behind. He was up there in 10th earlier on, and I'm sure he was chuffed with that as a performance, but unfortunately he went for that early pit stop, and I'm not sure that's a strategy that's really worked out for him tonight. Oh, and Timorous has gone for the pits there, so this is going to be his one and only stop. So I think it will be interesting to see where he shakes out, because a pit stop loss is around about 40 seconds, which is getting on for about half a lap. So I think it's going to be, he's going to go quite way down the field, but I think he's going to shuffle his way back up the pack as the evening goes on. So let's have a look. Oh, good evening, Dave Cannon. Great to see your support out there. So we've got a lively evening's racing here. We've got Timorous now in the pits going for his single stop against the strategy of all the other drivers. All 11 other drivers appear to be going for at least a 2 stop. So here we go, Timorous. So he was at the back of the pack earlier on. He's worked his way up to the front when everybody else pitted. He had just lost the lead to Sincor, so that popped him down in second, and then he's dived for the pits for a single stop at just after 20 minutes, and now he's 11th. So let's hear your thoughts in the chat below the YouTube video. Where do you think Timorous can get? I think he's going to get 3rd. I think when all the guys in front of him have shuffled out, I think he's going to shuffle out in this around about 3rd. I think Dan will have got him with pace, and Timorous is very much going for the fuel saving side of it, which means he is compromising possibly his performance in certain parts round the track. But I can see this guy working his way back up to the front, but it's an awful long way. He's 45 seconds off the leaders, and a pit stop loses you about 42 seconds. So in about 6 minutes it will all shake out as to who's going to do what. So let's just have a quick look, see if we've got any movers and shakers getting close. Everyone looks a little bit spread out at the moment. Sincor has pulled out about 7.5 seconds on Dan, so I think this is probably subject to any mistakes, errors or damage. I think this is Sincor's race at the moment to lose, because I don't see that Dan is going to catch him on pure pace, and he's got enough of a gap, I believe, over Timorous, who he's sort of left field challenger with his 1-stop strategy compared to the 2-stop strategy of everybody else. I think Sincor's got enough of a gap over him that he'll be able to pit and come out and carry on in the lead. So Dan in second, it looks fairly comfortable there at the moment. 5.5 seconds ahead of Slippert, who Slippert has had his elbows out a couple of times, and Slippert's going for his second pit stop. But I think this is a bit early. I think he's going to struggle to complete the race with the fuel that he can put in now. So it'll be interesting to see how he's got. Let's have a quick look. Let's pull out to Sincor. So we've got 16 minutes. He may do it. He's got 25 litres of fuel he's going back in the pits with. I think the interesting thing will be to see. Let's see if we can drop down to Timorous. How is Slippert going to come out relative to Timorous? I think that Timorous is going to be in front. So it looks like oh, this is going to be close. Slippert's coming out of the pit lane. I could see him in the distance there, and Timorous is coming around turn 1. Oh, hello, Noddy. Looks like Noddy's mate's had an issue there. We'll stay on with this. Looks like Noddy's mate spun on the exit of turn 1, and the most common way that happens is people run across those yellow sleeping policemen and it lifts the tyres off the track, and as soon as your tyres are in the air, they're not gripping. There's no stickiness there. So I think that's what happened there. So it looks like we've also lost a driver there, which I am going to guess probably was... Let's move our way down the field. Yeah, I think unfortunately Noddy's mate has retired. He's had that spin coming out of turn 1 and has sadly called it a night. So let's see how Timorous is getting on the back of Slipper, because I think this will give us an idea whether Timorous has the pace to get amongst those leaders, because at the moment he's now 50 seconds behind Sincor, so he's lost over the last 3 or 4 laps about 5 seconds. So I think he's losing about a second or so a lap. So Giorgio Armani has just pitted. That's for his second stop, and so's Pineapple Head. So with just under 15 minutes remaining, these guys should have enough fuel to get to the end. I think it's going to show, yeah, Timorous is coming through. He's going to be ahead of these guys. So at the moment, this looks like Timorous may be shaking out in around about 4th, because Slipper was previously 3rd, and once all the pit stop window has been shuffled through, I think Timorous will end up behind Slipper. So I think that will be where he is going to shake out. So we've got 17 laps in the book. We're expecting this to be around about 26, 27 laps. So we'll just move forward, because I think we can see a little bit of action start to come on there. With Slipper has just gone under Cajun for a position there, but I think that was because Cajun hasn't actually pitted as yet. But now Slipper has a great chunk of space in front of him to be able to try and do some catching up. So Scott Fenton's just going into the pits. We've got Select coming under pressure from Lockstack. Now Lockstack, in the first round of pit stops around about 15 minutes into the race, Lockstack very much lost out and fell back behind Slipper, who's already taken his second pit stop. So I imagine these two guys are running very much towards having their second pit stop. But the later they can do it, the less fuel they'll put in, and therefore the shorter the pit stop is. Scott Fenton's gone for his final pit stop, so he's shaken down the field. So we've got, looks like, I think Sincor is, yeah, he's still out at the moment. So we'll just keep an eye on these two guys at the minute as they work their way round turn 6 and 7. Careful not to run all the way out onto the green stuff, because you'll get a penalty. So our leader is in. He's got just 8 litres of fuel left. He's gone for the pit, and also Dan in second place has gone for his second pit stop as well. So this is going to take them to the end of the race. So they're going to put in the same amount of fuel, and Select and Lockstack are also into the pit. So let's see if this works more to Lockstack's favour this time. So the top 4 drivers, as they stand at the moment, are into the pits. So Slipper is working his way round, but I don't think he's going to break into all of these guys. There's a possibility he might grab 3rd or 4th. But we can see, as you come around, we can see somebody coming out of the pits. I think that's Sincor. Let's have a look. Yeah, Sincor is out of the pits. He's up the road. I can see Dan is rolling down the pit lane as well. He's out and away. So this is Slipper is the next one, just coming around turn 1. So he's got through into 3rd. So next round the corner is Timorous, and that means he has jumped Select and Lockstack, who come out in the same order from the pits. So I think that completes most of our pits at the moment that we are expecting to see. The only possibility is some of those that have pitted early for their second stop run a bit short on fuel. They may have to do a splash and dash, but that will really mess up their race. So it's more likely that we'll see them turning the fuel down so they can eke that fuel out to the end of the race. So let's just have a quick review now. Everything's settled down after that second pit stop. We've got what looks like a bit of a close battle there. 5th, 6th and 7th. So let's hop on board with this. So that's Select in 5th, Lockstech in 6th, and the Pineapple Head, who we haven't seen an awful lot from tonight. But now after the second round of pit stops, does seem to be showing his face towards more towards the front of the field. And then running up behind these is Scott Fenton, who's not that far back, and he's a quick driver, as we know. So we can expect to see him battling up a little bit more towards the front there. So has Lockstech got designs on Select's 5th place? Oh, and Select is going to pick a penalty up for that one. He ran extremely wide on that final corner, yeah, and he pulls over, dumps the penalty, which is what they have to do. And then round turn 1, so that's put Lockstech up to 5th, Select down to 6th, and now Pineapple Head has got design on Select's 6th place position there as they head up round a slight curve of turn 2 into turn 3. Lockstech's on the inside. There's a little bit of door mirror swapping going on there. Lockstech, no, has, oh, Pineapple Head's run deep, but he looks like he's got the traction out of the corner. Select looks like he's going to tuck under Pineapple Head's rear wing, and they're heading down towards turn 4. So it's downhill braking, another overtaking opportunity. Is Select going to go for it? No, he's not. So that's seems to have settled those positions out for a moment. Lockstech being the big winner in there because he's got through into 5th and he's cleared off up the road. But Select seems to be gathering his talent back up again and looking to have another go to try and get that 6th place back. So, and waiting in the wings is Scott Fenton, who's just 5 seconds back behind, and then behind him by about 15 seconds is Giorgio Armani. He is in 9th, and there we can see in 10th is Cajun 100, and he is excuse me, still on the lead lap, but about 58 seconds behind the leader. And then in 11th place, still there, I think he's just dropped off the lead lap, is Blue Jones Senior. So, but he's still hanging in there, so you never know what can happen in these long races. We've got just under 8.5 minutes remaining. So let's head our way back up the front and just review where the leaders are at. Now, I think Season4 has settled down, I think, in this lead position, because we've got over 3/4 of the race gone. He's got nearly a 7-second lead on Dan, and Dan we know is a quick driver, but in second place there in the M&M's BMW, it doesn't look like he's got anything to come back at Season4 with on this particular occasion. So it may just be that this track doesn't suit Dan. I don't think any of these guys are going to have trouble with fuel. We'll just have a quick look at Dan's dashboard, and yeah, he's got 7.5 minutes remaining. He's got over half a tank. His tyres are only very slightly worn, so I don't see anything radical happening there in these at least top 2 positions. And really the same with third, Slippert. He has been hovering around the back end of those podium positions for the early part of the race, and as the pit stop windows have cycled their way through, he's shuffled his way back up there neatly to third. So, and it looks like Lockstech has just got, we'll play a risky game and go for a replay. So, coming out of the final bend onto the main straight, Lockstech's right under the rear wing of Timorous. Timorous, we know, is running a lighter field strategy, so he's hasn't got quite as much performance. So Lockstech, nice textbook manoeuvre there, down on the inside, outbrakes Timorous into the first corner and gets the move done. So great bit of driving there by Lockstech. And as we return to the racing, looks like Timorous is under pressure from Pineapple Head. Yes, oh, and there looked like a bit of a diver manoeuvre there. Not quite sure whether that was all fully gentlemanly. We'll risk the replay again. So Pineapple Head coming up to turn 4, downhill braking here. Down little, that was a little bit of a hip of shoulders he went by, but not overly brutal. But that long strategy of Timorous Oh, and they've both picked up a penalty there. I don't quite know that. They must have run it off track somewhere, possibly in two sections to get two half second penalties. So they're now dumping those, and Select is trying to shuffle his way by. He's by Timorous, so that single stop strategy of Timorous really isn't working. And Select just picked a penalty up, running wide in that last corner, so he pulls over and drops the penalty. So that's dropped him back behind Timorous, but I think Select has got the performance to get by Timorous again, because he's... Oh, and Pineapple Head's now got a penalty. So more penalties than the end of an England game in the World Cup. So he's going to have to drop that off, which he has neatly done there. So I think we'll keep an eye on Select and Timorous for the minute, because I think this is where we're going to see a bit of a battle. Timorous very much went for that single stop strategy, so meant he pitted at around about 20 minutes halfway through the race. So he's doing a bit more lift and coast to save fuel into the corners, so he lets off the throttle and lets it coast a little bit before he hits the brakes. And I know the drivers, particularly from the great drivers we've had in the series before, have had really good performance and had really great fuel saving, so saves a lot of time in pit stops. So I imagine Timorous was thinking that was the way it was going to work for him tonight. I think maybe the early stage of the race. Oh, and here we go, Select looking, he's coming up as they go over the crest of the hill towards turn 9. Select has got the inside, he's got the high ground. I think he's going to get that move done, yes. So that's Timorous down to 7. So Timorous has got about 11-second gap on Scott Fenton. So with just on 4 minutes remaining, he should be able to hold on for that 7th position. But certainly that one-stop strategy against the two-stop that everybody else came up with really hasn't worked for him tonight. I thought he was going to come out maybe with a podium, but the speed of these guys, particularly the 4th, 5th and 6th places, have overhauled him. So that lighter pace he's been running has been too much to counteract with that one-stop strategy. So we'll just check where his fuel is on Timorous, just to make sure he's got plenty left. He's got quarter tank left with 3.5 minutes, so yes, he should be absolutely fine. But the one thing is, if you look at the bottom left of your screen, those little red boxes are showing the bits of his tyre that are worn, and his tyres will be that much more worn than the other drivers, because he changed at 20 minutes, so he's done 17 minutes on these tyres, whereas the other drivers, they changed at around about 12 or 13, so their tyres are so much more fresher. So it was a good go by Timorous. You know, I'm always one to go for an alternative strategy. You never know how it could work for you, but on this occasion, sadly, it really doesn't seem to have worked out for him. So where we got just under, there we go. Oh, Pineapple Head and Select is coming at Pineapple Head by the look of it, and Timorous is waiting in the rings behind. So Select going down look down the inside of the first corner. Timorous is looking to go down the inside pair. It looks like, I think, Pineapple Head possibly has got a fuel issue here. So he's dropped back now. He was the first of the second pit stoppers. So we're just going to have a quick look at his fuel and see where he's at. Yes, look at that. He's heading rapidly towards the E on his fuel gauge. So he's having to hang in there. So the strategy is coming to play here. So having thought it wasn't working for Timorous, it may just be coming back to his way. So I don't think any of the other guys that I can recall pitted particularly early. So that early second stop for Pineapple Head is really not working for him, and he's really going to have to pedal that car really gently. And he's about 8 seconds in front of Scott Fenton. We've got 1 minute 38 to go. So I don't know if he's going to have to ease it off so far that Scott Fenton's going to catch him, and possibly, let's have a look at Scott. Oh, and okay, and Giorgio's 16 seconds behind Scott, so I don't think he's Pineapple is going to be in danger from Giorgio, but I think Scott Fenton may be wanting to have a look at. Oh, Scott Fenton, that won't help at all. Running across the green stuff there. Any second now, we're going to have a penalty. Oh, and there's a big one, 1.5 seconds. So he's having the break to let that one off. It's great to see the drivers tonight are all playing by the rules, with these penalties, you need to shake them as quickly as possible, not hang on to them for a lap or two. And it'd be really great to see all the drivers getting rid of them quickly. And just as I say that, Scott Fenton gets 2 penalties in about 3 corners. So here we go. We've got 44 seconds remaining. I think we're going to see a lot of drivers not complete that final extra lap, because I think we're going to have a situation where with 30 seconds to go, Season4 is going to cross the line, and then most drivers behind, once the time has run out, when they cross the line, that's their race over. So that is really going to help the likes of Select, who is in is Pineapple Head, who is in 7th and who's really struggling on the field. That he's only got to complete this lap. So, and Scott Fenton with those penalties has fallen back to about 10 seconds. So Season4 has finished, and no, sorry, I take it back. Season4 is starting his final lap. Dan is completed his lap. So Locksteck is coming up to the line to complete. The time is out, so he's solidly there in 3rd. Then in 4th place we have got Sliphert, and followed closely by Select and by Timorous. That one-stop strategy gave him 6th place, so that worked quite well. So Pineapple Head is going to be quite relieved, I think, to see the checkered flag, because I think he's really on the absolute vapors. Yep, yes he is. It's red with an extra bit of red. So 8th is Scott Fenton, who's going to get a massive penalty for that last corner infringement there, but I'll probably be added to his finishing line, and a bit of drifting and spinning over the line. So he's got 1 minute added to his time there for outrageous driving. Giorgio Marni is in 9th. He's completed his race. Cajun 100 crosses the line in 10th. So Season4 always picked a penalty up there, but I don't think that's really going to affect things, because he's so far in the lead and he's dropped off the penalty straight away. So Season4, great drive there. Didn't quite get pole position from this man Dan, but he's turned it into a race winning drive. So cracking effort there by those guys. And there we go, Season4, Dan and Locksteck are your top 3. So let's have a quick look where we're at with this one. Just bring up a few details for you. So we go, there we go, we got 11 finishers, 13 joined at the beginning, so we've only got 2 spaces in this championship if anybody wants to join us. So it'd be absolutely great to see people come and hop on board. We've got 2 series. We've got this V8 on a Sunday night, and next week we will be at the fabulous Spa-Francorchamps circuit. So I imagine that will produce some great racing, because it's a long circuit, and so field strategy will come into that one. And then after that we're off to Blue Moon and then Suzuka, and then there's 4 rounds after that. And then if you want to look at our other series, that's on a Wednesday night. That's the GT4 series. That starts in 2 weeks' time, and we will be having that's a single make series, and that will be the Evos. So I hope everybody's enjoyed it tonight. I had a fantastic time with a different format race for the V8. This 40-minute race definitely produced a different format of racing. We've seen strategy, which has been really good to see, and hopefully the other 7 races we've got in this series will be just as good. So hopefully we'll see you again soon. So get involved, press the like, press the subscribe, and tell everybody about it, and come and watch Flat Out E-Racing. Have a great life.